the page, of course, is Hammersmith Bridge, and you don't know whether any of these funds are going towards Hammersmith. Is that correct?
I can't name every one of the 3,000 bridges.
Respectfully, I've not asked for that, have I, Secretary? I've just asked, can you confirm that it is going to get some of the funds from this £1 billion?
Well, further detail will be set out in written statements to Parliament.
A government minister stepping onto live radio to announce a £1 billion infrastructure project should be prepared for some very simple questions. Not complicated policy debates, not impossible calculations, just the basics. Where does the project begin? Where does it end? And how much is it expected to cost? But what happens next becomes a moment that leaves many listeners stunned. During this tense exchange, broadcaster Nick Ferrari begins asking straightforward questions about a major infrastructure plan. Questions that anyone responsible for promoting such a massive project should reasonably be able to answer. Yet instead of receiving clear and confident responses, the conversation quickly turns into an uncomfortable struggle for basic information. This is the kind of political moment that grabs attention because it goes beyond a single mistake. It raises a much bigger question about accountability, preparation, and whether those announcing major public projects truly understand the details behind them. As Ferrari continues pressing for simple answers, the interview starts to unravel in real time, creating a clash between a journalist demanding clarity and a minister trying to explain a plan without providing the details listeners are waiting for. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now, let's get into how this interview went from a routine announcement into one of the most uncomfortable political exchanges of the week.
Quite a substantial part of this £1 billion restructures fund will also go to the Lower Thames crossing, which has been long in planning, but not really taken forward. And obviously the congestion around the Dartmouth Tunnel is a real problem for getting lorries moving between the North and the Midlands and the ports in the south-east.
Dartford Tunnel, I think.
Sorry, I meant Dartford. Excuse me. Dartford Tunnel.
It's Dartmouth, that would be one hell of a crossing, that one.
It's because I'm obsessed with that part of the world. I meant Dartford, excuse me. I had a very early morning.
I know the feeling.
Dartford Tunnel. Yes, I'm sure you did too.
Just remind listeners where the new crossing is, where it takes off and where it lands.
It's... you'll forgive me. I can't recall the exact landing zones.
So the crossing that you're talking about, you don't know where it is?
Well, it's the Lower Thames crossing,
yes,
which has been in planning for many, many years, and it is to enable, essentially, people to not have to take the Dartford Tunnel, which is a huge problem, Dartford Tunnel, and it's to enable businesses, lorries, people doing business, but lorries in particular, who are coming from the Midlands and the North to key ports in the south east. That's what we're...
It's almost as if you were reading from a piece of paper there, isn't it? you don't actually know where it takes off from or where it lands, do you?
You'll forgive me, Nick, but this is part of a broader 10-year infrastructure strategy that we will be launching later this week. And it is vital that we ensure that we improve our infrastructure, which is absolutely central to economic growth across the country and delivering better jobs and better wages for people.
I mean, I don't want to go on about this, but it is about the 19th word in the press release, the Lower Thames crossing. Let me tell you, Gravesend in Kent, Tilbury in Essex, those are the two towns.
Tilbury, it was Tilbury that I couldn't...
How much is it going to cost?
Well, it's going to cost quite a lot of money, but we today are announcing £590 million towards that cost. We'd already put some money in the autumn budget into this project, but we want this to be a public-private partnership because there are significant benefits, obviously, to the private sector.
But how much is the crossing going to cost, Secretary?
Well, overall, it's going to cost several £billion.
How many? You don't know that either, do you, actually?
Well, it has already cost quite a lot of money.
I don't wish to be rude to you personally. Is there much point continuing this conversation? Because you don't know where a bridge starts, you don't know where it ends, and you don't know how much it costs. So is there any point continuing?
As I've said, the money that we are putting in is crucial to unlocking this project, which has been years in planning.
Secretary, you don't know how much it is.
Well, it's several billion, as I've said.
It's 10 billion. put you out of your misery.
10 billion.
Yeah, so it's not several, it's 10. What does this say about the economic stewardship of this country, that someone in your position of importance, you don't know where a bridge starts, you don't know where it ends, and you don't know how much it costs? What does that say to you?
Well, I'm here to talk about the broader infrastructure plan as well that we will be launching later this week.
Well, for the benefit of my listeners, I will continue. When will the Hammersmith Bridge problem be resolved?
I'm not here to talk about the Hammersmith Bridge. I'm not a transport minister.
But you're talking about infrastructure. You're talking. Sorry, I thought we just talked about 3,000 bridges that are unable to support the heaviest vehicles.
I don't have the detail of the Hammersmith Bridge.
But that's one of the key bridges that can't support any vehicles, let alone the heaviest of vehicles. So clearly that must figure in this.
The plan, the money that we are allocating today will go to such bridges, to go to repair bridges, and to make sure that those bridges can take a load. And as you said at the top, there are 3,000 bridges across the country that can't take a load.
Right. And one key one is the Hammersmith Bridge. So that's not part of this at all.
There will be Hammersmith Bridge and others will be, but that will be down to local. I mean, look, I can't come on your programme and give you the dates for every 3,000 bridge that will be.
I'm merely asking that one of particularly. It's been closed, I think, for around 6 years. We hear of a new initiative by the newish government, 3,000 bridges. One of the ones that really jumps off the page, of course, is Hammersmith Bridge. And you don't know whether any of these funds are going towards Hammersmith. Is that correct?
I can't name every one of the 3,000 bridges.
Respectfully, I've not asked for that, have I, Secretary? I've just asked, can you confirm that it is going to get some of the funds from this £1 billion?
Well, further detail will be set out in written statements to Parliament.
What makes this interview so fascinating is that it doesn't feel like a dramatic political confrontation. It feels like watching someone trying to navigate a difficult exam without knowing the answers. A minister appears on live radio to announce a £1 billion infrastructure package, but within minutes, the conversation shifts from the announcement itself to something much more basic. Does she actually know the details of the project she is promoting? The moment that immediately grabs attention is the confusion over the location of the crossing. A major infrastructure project involving billions of pounds requires precision, yet the exchange creates the impression that even the basic geography behind the plan is unclear. And that is where Nick Ferrari's questioning becomes so effective. He isn't throwing out complicated political traps or trying to catch the minister with obscure facts. He is asking the questions ordinary people would ask immediately. Where does this project begin? Where does it end? And what is the final cost? These are not unfair questions. In fact, they are probably the first questions any taxpayer would want answered when hearing about a £1 billion public investment. But instead of getting straightforward answers, listeners hear repeated references to a wider strategy and future plans. The problem is that strategy matters, but so do the details. A big announcement means very little if the person presenting it cannot explain the basic facts behind it. The cost question becomes another uncomfortable moment. When asked how much the crossing will actually require, the response of several £billion leaves a lot of room for uncertainty. But when Ferrari reveals the figure is around $10 billion, it highlights why accuracy matters when dealing with public money. And then comes the discussion about Hammersmith Bridge, a major issue that has affected communities for years. When Ferrari asks whether this funding will help address that problem, the answers again leave listeners wanting more clarity. The bigger issue here is not just one interview or one mistake. It speaks to a wider frustration many people have with politics, the feeling that announcements often receive more attention than the actual details needed to deliver them. Ferrari's approach is simple. He doesn't need to raise his voice or create a dramatic confrontation. He just keeps asking clear questions and allows the answers, or lack of answers, to speak for themselves. And that is what makes this exchange so memorable. Sometimes the most powerful political moments don't come from shouting matches. They come from simply asking basic questions and waiting for someone to provide basic answers. What do you think about this interview? Was Ferrari right to keep pushing for answers, or was the minister being judged too harshly? Let us know in the comments.